Is it me? Or do a lot of y'all look like Kim Kardashian? Let's talk about this. Are we all gonna end up looking the same? Looking much like Kim K? Or is our future gonna be filled with perfect looking people because everyone has access to plastic surgery, it seems, these days? Well, to break down the Kim K question, let's first start with why Kim Kardashian is a standard of beauty. Now, let me say this. She may not be your standard of beauty, but you have to admit that she is a standard. And let's break it all the way down and separate her facial features from her body. Facially speaking, Kim Kardashian has a very aesthetically pleasing face. We can all agree, or hopefully agree on that point. And as a plastic surgeon, hearkening back to my days in training, we learned a lot about angles, dimensions, and those angles and dimensions, to be frankly honest, were based on the ideal white woman. Kim Kardashian's face has a lot of those same angles and dimensions that I learned in residency, but now they're on a more ethnic appearing face. So remember, Kim is not 100% white. She does have a Middle Eastern father, and so from that perspective, she is the closest thing that society has to an ethnically accessible version of the white woman ideal. In terms of her body, you only have to look at body trends throughout history to understand why currently Kim Kardashian's body is on trend. So if we harken back to the days when we were hunters and gatherers, what was valued were large bosoms, large behinds, and they were valued highly because of their kind of proximity to fertility. Right? So if a woman is fertile, she has large breasts and a large booty. Okay? Very basic concept. Now, as women have been put increasingly into male roles, as we saw the Industrial Revolution, as we saw women joining the workforce, that body type evolutionized and evolved to now include body types that were more androgynous, that were more functional for the workplace. If you look even in our lifetimes, so even though I wasn't alive, I still have a love for 1950s and 60s Hollywood. If you look during that time, Marilyn Monroe was the biggest star of that time. And she had a very curvaceous body, very voluptuous body. We now move to the 70s, where we're introduced to the model Twiggy, and models like her who are more waif-like. If we move to the 80s, when I was born, we had the aerobics revolution, right? And so then we saw a more fit body. Fitness now being kind of the ideal aesthetic that we were looking for. Moving to the 90s, while we did have Kate Moss as a huge supermodel in her day, and Kate Moss was famous for her very skinny body, we also had the likes of Naomi Campbell, Tyra Banks, who, again, were skinny, but a little bit more curvaceous, a little bit more athletic as well. Let's move to the 2000s. And what you start to see in the 2000s, the 2010s, and now the 2020s, is that we're kind of harkening back to older times, right? Bigger breasts, bigger booties. Some would call those am bodies, right? Sorry. No shade to anyone who has a beautiful BBL going on. But Kim K was just a little bit ahead of her time in that regard. She was one of the first where it became apparent that her behind looked accentuated. We also had Jennifer Lopez at that time being touted as a beautiful woman with a beautiful body. But again, all these things have a place in history. It's not out of the blue that we are starting to appreciate kind of more curvaceous, voluptuous bodies. In some ways, we're moving back in time, but you see how with evolution, there's always a change in the aesthetic. The biggest differences we have now as compared to those times of old are two things. One is we have a lot of people who appear ethnically ambiguous because we do live in a global community where races frankly mix, and we have more people identifying as multi and biracial than we have ever before. The second thing that's true is that plastic surgery, in terms of acceptance of and access to, it's at its all-time high right now. When you can go to the DR, or you can go to Colombia, Mexico, Miami, New York, you can go anywhere in the world, really, and be able to access a plastic surgeon, and I should say an aesthetic plastic surgeon. And the cost difference just reflects standard of living differences, doctor expertise differences, things like that. But more and more women have access to what we call more cost affordable plastic surgery as we travel and branch out into these different countries. So will we all end up looking like Kim K? Will we all end up being perfect in the future? The answer is yes and no, right? Because yes, people will still have access to plastic surgery. People will still have that one or two things about themselves that they'd wish to change, and if they have the money and the resources, then why not? Again, plastic surgery is on a spectrum of things that we do to enhance our natural beauty. Some of us go to the gym. Some of us eat and hydrate. And yes, you can argue those things are great for your muscles, for your bones, for your heart. But they also don't hurt when you have a six-pack and some good biceps, right? So again, plastic surgery is on the spectrum of things that we do to enhance our beauty. And it's true that as we continue to live in this global community, we will have an increasing number of people who identify as multiracial, who look ethnically ambiguous to some degrees. But just like any trend that's happened before, whether it be in fashion or beauty, this trend of the specific body type that I've been describing, this voluptuous, booty popping body type, is not going to last forever. But there are some reasons why we won't all end up looking the same. A lot of us might, but not all of us will. So one is that beauty and plastic surgery trends are just that. They're trends. They come and go as times evolve, as people evolve, as new things become more appreciated than before. And so just as we've seen body types that are ideal going from very skinny to voluptuous and back, we will continue to see that trend. But just as we've seen ideal body types change over the course of time, we will continue to see the ideal body type evolve away from the booty popping era and sometimes the bad BBL era. And that will make me very happy. While plastic surgery is more accessible, that does not mean that it's like water, even though water is a resource that's highly valuable as well. But think about it. Just because a lot of Instagram has got a BBL, a Kim K nose, and lip filler, that is not the real world. The real world exists well beyond Instagram. You knew that, right? You did? Okay. Just making sure. And as we are seeing more female plastic surgeons come into the field, thankfully, we are also seeing increasing diversity of the surgeries they are providing and the results they are providing. This is a PSA. Find a good doctor who's on the same page with you. At the end of the day, you may have your desires, but your plastic surgeon picks your result. And hopefully, if you picked well, that plastic surgeon is here with you and knows exactly what you want and knows exactly how to get it. But unfortunately, a lot of you guys find plastic surgeons who have great results, may even be board certified, but they may not be completely in sync with what your needs were and what you thought you were going to have. And so you end up with the body, with the face, with the lip that you didn't necessarily intend. And so I really, really encourage anyone who's going to be seeing a plastic surgeon to pick this person wisely. This is a very important choice, and it is not something that comes down to dollars and cents as much as we want to get the best bang for our buck, but this is your body. And lastly, a good reason why we all won't look the same is that Team Natural is very real. I am part of Team Natural. It's a great team. The weather is warm over here. I encourage you to join us. But seriously, while there's always a movement, there's a counter movement, right? And I do believe strongly that that is what keeps us balanced and keeps us going off the deep end. So no, while a lot of us will look like Kim K, well, I should say a lot of y'all will look like Kim K, a lot of us won't. What do you think? Love you lots. Bye for now.